Come join me. Join. Huh? Join. Yeah, will you stay? Duit. Colum is Adam Dom. I'm here in a bog down in a Hanio and County Limney, and I want to give you an update on the Ober or the Stadir I've been doing on this practice called WYDA. So WYDA, WYDA, this means beyond the veil. The word itself is probably not Gaelic, but Welsh, in that WYDD in Welsh means knowledge or awareness. This book itself was written in September 1989. German authors who met an Irishman in Stonehenge and followed him back to Ireland and basically documented what that Irishman had been a custodian of, a knowledge or a wisdom that Liam O'Donnell had been a custodian of through his generations. So I want to say a big thank you and gratitude to A.A. Schwartz, R.P. Schwepp and W.M. Fau, I hope I pronounced those right, and Liam O'Donnell and the O'Donnell family. So the name of the book is WYDA, Deerkraft der Druiden, which in German I believe to be translated over to English as the Yoga of the Druids. So what I did was I took this book and I translated it into English. Here it is in English. Okay, I used my phone to do that. I've talked to the authors to see if they'll either republish the book in English or Oscuelga, or you know, I want to engage in that conversation with them to see if I can actually just maybe give this out. All right, now it's not super, like, it's not perfectly accurate. It's probably 90% of the way there, but not all the words perfectly translated over. So, but I have 90% of it. So in this video, I just want to talk to you about where I'm at with the research on this. I'm still in quite a dense, you know, I'm still kind of working on through a lot of densities with it. So let's start with the word WYDA, beyond the veil. An Irishman was the custodian of the knowledge, as era, August, you know, Dina as Ó'Móráin, so German authors who would obviously a very keen interest in Celtic culture. They met at Stonehenge. The word itself is probably Welsh. Wales having a very kind of central druidic centres. Obviously in Welsh then I said that wide awareness knowledge, and then in Old English, WYRD, WYRD, yeah, WYRD has an old kind of links back to old German connection with destiny and faith. So they're the words. WYDA itself, I'll flick through the book, but WYDA itself, here's a little bit of an image of the human body from the book. Okay, it has a mental, emotional and vital aspects. I like to look at them as mental, vital, emotional. All right, mental, vital, emotional, it just follows the Om for me, A, O, U, A, E, so I like to think of it that way. And it talks about a common pattern where the mental field can be off to the left and up, the emotional field, we'll go vital field. The vital field can be off to the right and up, and the emotional field can be off to the left and up. It talks about shapes and how shapes can be used to enhance different qualities of a practice. It talks about colour and kind of aspects of nature that can be related to these different energy fields and help strengthen or stabilize these energy fields. For example, it's a beautiful blue sky today, and there's a little bit of white in the clouds, just whisking across, and that is an aspect of the mental field, which is helps to strengthen and stabilize the mental field. So the process of the process of WYDA is to, first of all, strengthen your awareness of these energy fields, stabilize your awareness of the energy fields, bring them back to balance or bring them back to center, and then allow them to knit together or merge together, and then you enter into the white world. For me, the white world is a place in which you're alive and nothing comes between you and being alive. There's no alive and, there's no alive for, there's no alive to, you're just alive. And then the book talks about poses, postures, movements that you can go through to strengthen your awareness, stabilize your awareness, bring back to balance these energy fields. Okay, so you could say it's kind of like Tai Chi or yoga. A couple of those moves is there's a Druidic fist, right? So which is a closed position, right? Over the mental field, over the vital field, and over the emotional field. I've seen the emotional field done this way and done this way. And the concept is you can hold, you can open, you can hold, you can open, you can hold, you can open. And even other things like putting your hands over your eyes here at night time is recommended as a way to maybe clean or cleanse or bring clarity to your negative thoughts and attach positive, let's say a positive pairing with those thoughts. And if you've ever had someone just put their hand on you or got any kind of massage or anything like that and found the comfort of that human touch, for me it's that concept. So I suppose where I'm at with it at the moment is I'm trying to get in touch with the authors about republishing the book in English and Oscuelga. I am trying to understand it better. So the beyond the veil concept, let's talk about the mental field. So for me, Carl Jung's work is really apt there. So my understanding of being beyond the veil and its relationship with, say, Carl Jung's work, because Carl Jung's work has a lot of depth to it. If there's a light over here and there's this is the shadow over here, so the light and shadow, at the end of the shadow there's a mirror, and I'm standing here in the middle and I'm looking at the light. If I don't integrate my shadow according to Carl Jung's work, it makes its way into my experience and it turns into my irritabilities, my addictions, my, the bad habits that I have. So the process of Carl Jung's work integrating the shadow and psychotherapy is to understand those aspects of ourselves so that we're not caught in those loops. So we're stepping back out of that so we can see the light and we can see the shadow all as one, and there's a mirror over there at the end of that, and there's a light over here this side. And having that as a kind of a concept of the beyond the veil. So here I am, I'm now the veil is here, and here I am now I'm beyond the veil, that kind of simple concept. I like to use the third sphering, or a process of sphering. So I take an irritability, take sugar for example. I sit with the irritability of sugar, I go through all the positives, all the negatives, everything from past, present, future, and I try and hold all of it in the sense of encapsulate all of it as a sphere. I can never see all of it at once, but I can try and hold it all in my awareness, if that makes sense, because you can't see all the sides of a sphere all at once. And then as I do that and I come into that awareness, I find that it comes off me, or it lifts off me. Oscuelga, you say tá brón arms, I've sadness on me, so the concept is that it's on me rather than a part of me, if that makes sense, or rather than it being forever with me. So sphering is a kind of meditative practice that I would go through, which has all these aspects. It's got certainly a mental aspect, a vital aspect in terms of like that feeling is in the body, but then an emotional aspect where certainly I learned something about myself with the sugar process that I described there. In terms of the vital field then, the pattern that I showed you earlier on, which is the same as Postural Restoration Institute's Left AIC, Right BC pattern. Postural Restoration Institute is an institute in the United States that are in a way pioneering their discovery of this pattern. It's got to do with the fact that we're predominantly right-handed, left brain dominant, so we think that our right thigh is bigger than our left thigh. The camera's backwards here, right? So we tend to, because of some of these things, we've 3 lobes on one side, we've a bigger right diaphragm. We tend to sit or stand in a certain way and create this compensatory pattern, or just create this pattern in the body left AIC is left anterior interior chain. This is my left side, but in the camera, right, it looks like this is my left side. And then right BC pattern, so the pelvis would sit in a certain position, and as a result the lumbar spine would rotate one way, the thoracic spine the other way, the head would end up in left flexion, which in the camera is this way, and the right shoulder ends up being down, the left shoulder being up, which in the camera is this way, but for me it's the opposite. So that's the same pattern that I see in WYDA as I've seen in Pastoral Restoration. I've contacted Pastoral Restoration as well about, you know, just this kind of cultural link, and I can't see that pattern anywhere else in the world. I don't see it in any other teachings. So this book was published in September 1989, the month of my birth, interestingly enough, but the knowledge in this book has no start point. And Pastoral Restoration is something that's just new in the last, you know, in the last couple of years, or in the last maybe, you know, certainly in the last kind of generation. So the last aspect then is the emotional aspect, and the emotional aspect is something I'm really interested in. I'm actually here in this piece of land. I'm interested in working with horses. Liam O'Donnell himself, who was the custodian of this wisdom, worked with horses. The O'Donnell family worked with horses. Again, I want to express absolute gratitude towards the O'Donnell family and the authors of this book, and serendipity, I just feel real serendipity with all this, which is amazing. So that would be Buíochas, or three chants. Buíochas being gratitude, or three chants, luck through chants. And I'm interested in working with horses because and animals in general, and plants, because I think there is a capacity for the emotional side to really kind of come to play here. So when we do some of the exercises outlined in the book, they talk about what to focus on mentally, what physically to do with your body, the positions, where to build tension, and then the expression. And the expression a lot of time is sound, so sound. But animals and plants, I think, can bring out that emotional aspect in us, and it can really be a grounding force, or a kind of a strengthening force, or a stabilizing force, or a kind of a force that'll open us up to exploring those aspects of ourselves. So a few other things that I'm working on with this. So the toning is a big aspect to a lot of the movements here, and again, that's an emotional expression. So I've been researching toning. So Cronan is something I've come across. Big thank you to Simon in Connemara for bringing that to my attention, and also Simon reminded me that there's no W in Oscoelga, which linked me on then to the Welsh word wide and the old English word weird. So Cronan being throat singing, like Mongolian throat singing. So I'm going through Om there. And for me, when I go through Om, the is the most open position, and then O, U, A, E. E, A, O, U, A. So Om for me is it's kind of a tonal kind of chart. This is the most open sound, this is the most closed sound. And when you look at how those sounds relate to the different energy fields in the body, it goes E, A, O, A. Or it might come the other way, E, A, O, A. But it kind of goes from the mental field down to the vital field, up into the emotional field. I'm pretty sure I must find the O and the U part. I think the O, U does go down like that, but anyway, I'll figure that bit out. So you're getting the idea. I'm trying to kind of see where's the wisdom out in the world that talks about this, because WYDA for me is not necessarily something that you need to like practice and gain experience with. It's something that our ancestors used in an attempt to just describe the experience. So when I talk to people about this, I say to them, just because I'm studying this or have done a lot of reading around it, it does not mean that I am any way better or know more about it than anybody else. It's just an attempt to, as I said, describe the experience that I'm having, and put a cultural context or cultural aspect to it. So yeah, I don't want to make this video too long. I do plan on getting the contents of this book up on video format in some way, or sharing it online in some way. I am trying to understand the greater concept or context of this wisdom and this knowledge, and what our ancestors had. My understanding of the Druids in the past were that they were like the physiotherapist, the psychotherapist, and the, let's say, the music teacher that was integrated into your community, that spent their whole life studying, 30 plus years studying, and their role was to you know, to be there in that role and to share what they had. I ran for mayor last year in Limerick, and part of that was, this gave me a lot of I suppose, helped me settle with that role, or helped me settle in that position. But the concept for me running for mayor was to live stream all the accounts and all communication related to the accounts. That's all the public accounts, so we could see what's happening with the money. That for me would bring society beyond the veil, and that we would be able to actually see all of the details of what was going on with society and interact with it in a way that would transform the whole process. So that for me is kind of WYDA on a larger societal scale. And yeah, let me maybe finish with this. For me, the white world, the whole purpose of this is to get to a place of and beyond the scope of the teachings in this book. This book at the very beginning talks about how, you know, the teachings of it are limited to a certain degree, because once you align those three energy fields and they merge together, you're into the white world, in which, you know, you're on your own, as the translation says, German to English. But for me, that's a place of Tame Bio, I'm alive, and nothing comes between me and being alive. There's no and, there's no to, there's no for, I'm just alive. And yeah, I want to just end on that point. So Míle Buíochas, which is 1,000 gratitudes, or 3 chance, which is luck through chance, which for me is serendipity, and 1,000 blessings or goodness to you, God of Míle Mahagut, and then Slán, which would be health, the way we say goodbye, Slán. And I started this off with duit. So duit is, for me, is dia is Diana, or it's very similar to Diana. So Diana being the Zen in Zen Buddhism, Diana being a Sanskrit word, which my understanding of it is the cultivation of presence through the burning up of subtle defilements to achieve total equanimity and awareness. So Dia is either may presence be with you, or Dia meaning God, may God be with you. So you get to choose which one of those it is for you. Shirei, which means that's it. Slán.